Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, what a coincidence to have a boring session in the first thing in the second half after a heavy lunch. Yeah, so standards are boring, but maybe Harsh is looking, is the OGC person speaking next to me. Like when I say it's boring, he's staring at me. But yeah, it's not unimportant. So yeah, that's all my affiliations. There are a lot of blah blah blah. But what I do, I just solve problems around geospatial data and the technology. So, yeah, that's it. So this is a brief agenda sneak peek on what we are going to see in next 20 minutes or 15 minutes. So we'll have an introduction to geodata, which I don't think 99% of people required here, but still as a standard I kept it here. Then what geodata standards are, why the standard matters, what are the fair principles, and what are the challenges and benefits. What is geodata? As per the standard definition from ISO, it is the data and information having an implicit or explicit association with a local location relative to Earth. So anything which is related to Earth or location component is there, we can call it as geodata, or it qualifies to be a geodata. So in simple terms, where do we use geodata? Most of our navigation apps, weather updates, emergency services, food delivery apps, ride hailing apps, social media check-ins, like we check in whether we are here, and a lot more. This geodata usage is not limited to this. So geodata refers to any information which is having some spatial component to it, even if it is a name of a district or a state or a country. It's still a geo information, and that can be qualified as a geodata. So if we could connect any attributes of the data to a location information, that can be considered as geodata. So what are standards in geodata? So as every other standards, geodata standards are also structured rules, formats, and the protocols that ensures the geographic data is stored, shared, and used consistently, interoperably, and reliable manner. So what does it mean? So it's just a protocol where you say like, this is the way you want to save the data, this is the way you declare the data, and so on. Yeah, so standards. So in our daily life, like think about an imagine of a situation where the drivers on the road, everyone drives at their own wish. Some drives on the right, some drives on the left. How chaos it will be, right? Similarly, like that's why some countries follow specific rules or standards to have the driving. So some countries need to stick to the left, that some other countries stick to right. Similarly, and that brings order, and it removes the chaos. So similarly, like geodata standards are also the set of rules and formats which help us to have a smooth flow of data, which through which we ensure our data is well used without confusions. It is consistently using, it is reliably used, and so on. And it is not, most importantly, misunderstood. So yeah, so things are, rules are always boring as is the standard says. Why? They're all fixed. Everything is fixed. Everything, it's plain. There is no surprises in standards. It's all plain, and it's all the way for long, like 10 years before the standard is same. Even today the standard is same. There is no change. Then there is no surprise. But Boring doesn't say that it is unimportant. So OGC, one of the major consortium or organization behind putting the standards in geodata. There are different wing for ISO as well for having geodata standards. There are combined standards which OGC and ISO puts. So why do standards matters is like we live in a world which is having constant change, and even in geospatial world, like past 6 months or 7 months, if you look, it has changed a lot, and it happened like applies to even going forward as well. So the change is inevitable, and it is in a faster pace. So in this faster pace changing world, the ecosystem is getting new and new formats of data, new and new set of data, new aspects of data, new dimensions to the data, which is constantly evolving, and this evolution is not stoppable. And so standards are the only way which we can bring the data to an interoperable state. Or we, if there is no standards, today's data and tomorrow's data, we cannot operate together. So there is a story, it's not the story, it's actual event that happened. The SpaceX launch in 2018, it launched around some hundred satellites, and it came back, and it was all around the news. So what it cost? So the Falcon Heavy, the rocket, it was launched, and it came back to the Earth. But the entire airspace of around the launch center was blocked like for 4,645 minutes. Entire airspace was blocked because nobody knew where the rocket went or whether it came back or not. Why? Because there was no need of such information to be transferred till date to the air traffic control system. So there was no interoperability required at till date. So there was everything happening at the government level, and NASA, or maybe the air traffic control at the US Defense, or the US air system. So there were no communication which can be sent from a private organization or simply any other organization about this launch and when the airspace can be freed up. So for the rocket was out from the airspace in just 90 seconds, and the booster rocket came back to the Earth in just another 8 minutes. But the entire airspace was blocked for 4,645 minutes. Think about the economic loss it has cost there, just because there was no standard available for air traffic systems to communicate each other. So that is where we come up with the FAIR principles in building the data standards. So when not just data standards, even for data as well. FAIR, in some presentation in the morning, I saw somebody speaking about the FAIR principles. So it is the same. Findable, the data should be findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. So, and together we call it as FAIR principle. So think about one situation. So we came here in a new town of Nasik. There are some multiple bus services available. For some instance, let's imagine that there are different operator running the services, not just one operator. And it's very difficult for us to plan the entire journey, right? So to get the schedule from the bus, each and every operator will be having different formats of saving the data. Some will save in something like this, some will have some different set of data. It's up to the agency to how they want to save. And even if we get some documents from different agency, if it is not published in a specific format, it takes hours to decode it. And the other applications which we need to build, like any mapping application or navigation applications, again further takes a lot of other efforts. So what if we apply the FAIR principles here? All the transit agencies publish the data in a specific standard open format, something like GTFS or any open format. Not specifically need to be in GTFS, but it is widely used. So publish that, and not just publishing the data in open format, but also publishing the data in open data license, which is also important to make sure the data is being used or people are using the data. So data is mapped, and also not just the schedules. What if the routes are also mapped in some mapping platforms like OSM or anything similar? So the data at every point is accessible, searchable, and findable. So an end user like you or me can just simply go to any navigation app, just enter the start and stop point, maybe a railway station to the NASIC engineering cluster, and the navigation application just takes you here, shows all the modes of transport, bus, or when you want to drive, then so the end application, the possibility is endless. And the same data can be used for the administrative teams, city planning administrations, to study and how they want to plan the new routes, or change the existing routes, or remove something which is not feasible. So all this information, all these activities can just happen in one set of single data, which if it is published openly in open standards. So what does mean? It is findable. So the first step is in reusing the data is to find them. So if you want to reuse the data or use the data, you need to be able to find the data whenever you require, and that need to be in mission readable format. So there are 4 principles of findable data. Like the metadata need to be are assigned globally unique persistent. So there should be an unique identifier for each data. The data are described in with rich metadata defined in R1 below. So there is a huge list of principles listed that I have taken from an open source. You can the link is mentioned there. The metadata clearly and explicitly need to be include the identifier. So it's important to publish what all things have you mentioned within your data to ensure that the data is being reused. So the data are registered or indexed in a searchable resource as well. Accessible. So making the data findable is not just enough. It should be accessible for the public. In the morning session, Arun was talking that data was openly published, but it is very hard to access. You have to go to a lot of logins and lot of details you need to go, and you need to wait for the site to get up. So all these are accessible problems for anyone to find the data. So the data need to be accessible. The data, the user should be able to retrieve the data when in the standard communication protocols, like in the form of APIs or standard downloads or anything similar. The protocol is open, should be open, free, and universally implemented. So I cannot say that I'm making my data available, and in order to use my data, you need to have some specific set of tools or things which I declare that to have. So that's not the right practice. The protocol which allows for authentication and authorization procedure, if it is necessary, and that also need not be so complex, or it should be automatable. The metadata are accessible even when the data are no longer available. So once maybe the data is no longer valid, or if it is required to be withdrawn, even the metadata of the data should be available, so that there is a traceability left. So somebody built something on that older data, and once we come back, this entire set of data is revised. Then the data the application which was built on the older data will be on the questionable part, where it is actually not the mistake of that application. The data has been updated, and which is not actually documented. So that metadata should be available for the data which is withdrawn also. Interoperable. So this is where in the new world, most of the time we fail. That the data should be interoperable across the systems, across the devices. So in the world of cloud native era, so we need to have interoperability. It is a must condition. So the data which we use, formal, accessible, shared, broadly applicable language for non-representation. So it should not be like a encrypted format where obviously there should be a level of encryptions required for the data which requires that treatment of that level of secrecy, but not all data requires the encryption. So it should be shared broadly, formal, accessible in the language where everyone known. Language in the sense that here the language is not just the language which the English, Hindi, or any other the language. It's the format of the data. The data use vocabulary that follow FAIR principle. So I published some data and call the start point as end point. So that is not the FAIR. That data does not qualify for that. So the standard vocabulary should be like widely accepted. The data include the qualified references to other metadata as well. So if what happens if we use a data which is specifically curated to ingest into some device, and the data which is that data being used through some other device, it goes into a different format, or it renders something different. So the entire purpose of data is not met there. Something similar to analogy, if I could think about, is the fonts, the older ASCII fonts. So you need to have that specific fonts to render that what the information is, but that is not the actual. The interoperability is losing there. The data should be reusable. The ultimate goal of FAIR is to optimize the reuse of data. So when we are reusing the data, obviously the cost for developing or reproducing the data is less. The time required will be less. So you can turn around your solutions in faster way. So data are richly described with accurate and relevant information. Data are released with clear and accessible data usage in licenses. Data are associated with detailed provenance. Data meet the domain relevance and community standards. So each data will have their own community standards that should meet. So these are all. So in the first slide we were talking about R1. So the data are described in rich metadata, where the metadata is being mentioned in this slide. The reusability of the data, where the data is richly described with accurate and relevant attributes. So any data which you are publishing, it should be well described. So again, each and every point you can see here is further divided into multiple other points and descriptions. You can go to the gofair.org FAIR principles website, and you can read. It's boring, but it's worth of reading at least once. So what are open standards and what is the benefit of open standards? So the major benefit of open standard is it's as free from cost and restriction to use. So it is free of use. There is no cost to use any format, and publicly documented of entirety. So entire formats and the things should related to the data should be documented. Just related to the standard should be documented entirely. The actively maintained by any independent organization. So all standards need to be maintained. So if the data standards are not maintained, how are it going to accommodate the new forms of data? So it has to be maintained to address the innovation and nuances which may arise in the future. So it has to be maintained by some independent organization whose business or business interests are not actually and would not reasonably give appearance to for being potentially by impacted by the contents of the standard. So what does it mean is the standard should be maintained by some organization whose main business is not the standard. What happens if that is the case? It arises the monopoly. So the standards should be maintained by a set of people or set of individuals or an independent organization where their main business is not selling the standards or declaring the standards. So it should also contain the structured releases, versions, or changelogs for the community to refer and develop things around it. Has an open community of contributors, users, and transparent with inclusive governance. So like any other FOSS organizations, there should be a continuous list of contributors actively contributing towards the standard, maintaining it. So why do we need open standards? Why can't normal or any standards solve the problem? So standards are rules. If it is not open standard, what is the problem? Like, it's just the rules, we are not using it, right? So what is the problem? So main problem, we need to share the data, right? So tomorrow if it is not open, I can say that you cannot read my standard. I have changed my standard. If you need to access my standard data, you need to pay. Then the sharing of data stops. We don't have all the data which we need to for any analysis. Nobody has the entire data. Data is being curated from multiple sources, and when it goes to multiple sources, it cannot be one publisher. If it is not one publisher, then the format things again matters. The format I use should be accessible for the person who is consuming it. Hence, if I use a proprietary standard, I cannot say that the standard should it should be possible for the others to read as well. So we need to connect and become smart with IoT devices and multiple other devices. So yeah, these are the benefits of standards. It saves money, it has a proper success in transparency, power of collaboration. Like any other open source, the standards also has the same benefits. And this is, we are going towards the last. What are the challenges for the open challenges? So the lack of awareness and understanding on the challenges, the legacy system and historic data might have started in some proprietary systems, and people still follow the same. Resistance to change from the legacy systems, the cost on the change management. So I use a set of shape files or something, and to change that to the newer open standards, it's very difficult. The change management process is costlier. Lack of enforcement or incentives for using open standards. There is no enforcement or the law doesn't say that. Sometimes the law enforces you to use shapefiles or any other proprietary formats. The culture and the political barrier, of course, complexity of the some standards with lack of documentation, it became complex. And for same set of data, there are multiple standards available. Which one need to be picked is always a confusion. So I have a small blog written around it. You can read with the hyperlinks on that. And that's all from my side. Any questions?
So this might be a silly question, but most of us are working with data and geospatial data, but and it's I think it's all within the standards. I don't know. I'm not from this background, but we are working, right. We are working on enterprise level and all. So I think that data should be within the standards. So for me, can you give an example whether where can a data be not within a standard, something like that?
So standard, when I say that it should be open as well. So just open standards need to be. There should not be any proprietary for data formats or anything being behind that. And also when you are publishing data, suppose in geospatial, if you see, if you are publishing some set of data of maybe you can say the census data of a ward, there are certain columns which the people who are working around that, they might have coded it. So 1 will be 1, 2 will be something else, 3 will be something else. So these attributes should be documented well. Then only it is able to reuse it. Else it's just a data which is openly available and doesn't make any sense. So making it in standard means having the definition is also part of publishing it in standards. This is just one example. There will be many other examples as well.
This was just for the example for your question. That one example commonly is the government publishing data as a PDF. So any table that is published as a PDF or image or scan of a table as a PDF document becomes hard to reuse for somebody who wants to, versus publishing CSV document which can be converted to some other format.
When you convert the data, it will be not exactly what you see in PDF. It will be something else. The alignment goes off or something else. So it should be in the machine readable format. Thank you.